Good
Hello,
morning.
good morning, sir.
Very good morning. So, we have been discussing Gettier problem and let us continue with our discussion of Gettier problem. So, what is Gettier problem? Gettier problem basically is the problem started with the publication of paper by Edmund Gettier in 1963, and the name of the paper is justified to believe knowledge. So, prior to Gettier, three kinds of conditions or features were recognized by philosophers of knowledge. So these three kinds of features are: number one, truth; number two, certainty; number three, right to certainty. Edmund Gettier started his paper. These three conditions are features of knowledge are not sufficient for the claim of knowledge. In other words, it may be that all these three conditions are fulfilled, all these three features are fulfilled, still the knowledge is not obtained. The knowledge doesn't uh, appear in the proposition. The subject, that the person who claims that I have knowledge on the basis of truth, certainty, and right to certainty might not actually be having the knowledge. So this is the position of Edmund Gettier, which is known as Gettier problem. It is a problem because it is questioning the traditional notion of knowledge. That is, knowledge has three features: truth, certainty, and right to certainty. Truth means that the knowledge uh, is propositional, and here truth means that truth is regarded as a uh, propositional correspondence. That is, here truth is defined in terms of correspondence theory of truth because they are realist. These philosophers who are maintaining that that knowledge consists in three conditions or features, that is truth, certainty, and right to certainty. So the number one condition is, according to them, truth; number two, certainty; and number three, right to certainty. Right to certainty means that evidence you have, and certainty means it is subjective kind of a belief that you have such a knowledge, you have such a kind of knowledge. This belief is there in the mind of the subject, but the belief in the mind of the subject doesn't only accrue knowledge, because it has to be corroborated with the third condition of knowledge, that is certainty, proof, that is evidence. So AJR has given these three conditions, these three features in his book, The Problem of Knowledge. Now, Edmund Gettier, when he published this paper, basically he has also mentioned that these three conditions are like that, but these three conditions are not sufficient. So basically, this is the case. Now you have done case number one. I think you have a fairly good idea about as to what is Gettier problem. Gettier has mentioned AGR also, and from that perspective, this paper is significant for us, because we have done the first chapter of the problem of knowledge of AGR. So from that perspective, let us let us in brief see as to what was the case number one. Case number one was that, according to Edmund Gettier, there are two friends, that is Jones and Smith. They are applying for job together, and in this application of their job, uh, basically, to some extent, Smith basically has come to know that Jones will get the job, and Jones has 10 coins in the pocket. These two propositions, that is, Smith has two propositions, that is, Jones will get the job, and Jones has 10 coins in the pocket. Basically, on the basis of these two propositions, Smith has made another proposition by conjoining them and through entailment, that is, the man who will get job has 10 coins in his pocket. So this is the problematic proposition. Why problematic proposition? Because this proposition, that is, the man who has 10 coins in his pocket will get the job, is basically fulfilling all three conditions. That is condition 1, truth, because Smith has evidence that that the person who will get job has 10 coins in his pocket. Smith has evidence for this, and the evidence, according to Gettier, might be that the company owner might have told Smith that the Jones will get job. Number one, and number two, Smith might have seen 10 coins in the pocket of Jones. Now, on the basis of these two evidences, according to Gettier, now Smith has been fulfilling all three conditions of knowledge, that is truth, certainty, and right to certainty. So this proposition that the man who will get job has 10 coins in pocket basically is the problematic proposition so far as first case is concerned, according to Gettier, because this proposition basically fulfills all the three conditions of knowledge, that is truth, certainty, and right to certainty. But now this but is only the problem. But basically, uh, even if Smith is claiming that he has knowledge that the person who will get job who has 10 coins in pocket, basically this proposition is not a proposition of knowledge, because it happens that not Jones but Smith gets a job after the result is out. After the interview, when the result is out, it was not the Jones, but actually it was Smith who got the job. So from that perspective, you can say that, according to Gettier, that this proposition, that is the man who will get job has 10 coins in his pocket, basically is not a knowledge claim, because these three conditions, even if they are fulfilled, the knowledge is not being accrued, because it was not the Jones who got the job, but it was the Smith who got job, and Smith had by chance 10 coins in his pocket. So since Smith had 10 coins in the pocket, so the proposition, which was the problematic proposition, just a few moments back I told that the man who will get job has 10 coins in his pocket, because basically this proposition basically is coming out to be true, certain, and right to be certain, fulfilling all conditions of knowledge, but it is not accruing knowledge, because this proposition was meant for Jones, but it is being coming true in the case of Smith. So that is why, according to Edmund Gettier, even if there are certain cases where all three conditions of knowledge are fulfilled, it might be that knowledge is not accrued, knowledge is not obtained. So this is the first case in brief which we have discussed so far, and I think that you have understood well. Now we have second case of Gettier to be discussed, and then this problem will get over, and then we'll move to second unit of your syllabus. So what is the second case? In second case, what happens that same um, person is there, that is Smith is there, and the same person, that is Jones, is there. So uh, Smith, basically they are friends, but not so much very close friends, but actually they are friends in the sense that Jones sometimes has given lift in his car to Smith. On the basis of this evidence that Jones has given some lift to Smith, Smith has basically inferred a proposition that Jones has a car, that is, Jones owns a car. Jones owns a car. So, Jones owns a car basically is the inferred proposition by Smith on the basis of Jones giving lift to Smith. This is the first proposition, and then another proposition basically, this proposition, please keep in mind that Jones owns a Ford car. I mean, a kind of car, that is Ford car. So this is one proposition, and second proposition, basically is divided into three parts. Number one, uh, either Jones owns a fort or Brown is in Boston. And Brown, who is Brown? Brown is another person of about whom um, basically where Brown lives. Smith doesn't know. So Smith basically makes an inference, and Smith makes three inferences about the place of living of Brown. So basically, he has three propositions to make. Number one, Brown is in Boston, Brown is in Barcelona, Brown is in Brest Litos. Now, all these three propositions, he infers only that whether one of them could be true. Like if we have seen, for example, if you are in University of Lucknow and somebody is coming from IT side, you might think that the person, whether he is coming from Kapurthala, or he is coming from Nishadganj, or he is coming from Chowk. So on the basis of this hunch, that whether the person, that is, for example, if you take any name, for example, you can take the name of Brown. For example, you think that Brown is in your class, and he you have seen from gate number 4 of Lucknow University that the person is coming, whether from is coming from IT side. So you can think that it could be that the person might be coming either from Nishadganj or from Aliganj or from Chowk side. Now, the similar case is with Brown, that the Smith, basically the person Smith, is inferring that the Brown is living in Boston, Brown is living in Barcelona, and Brown is living in Brest Litovsk. These are three options with Smith, and on the basis of three options, he has made three propositions. What are those three propositions? Let us see. And out of these three propositions, the problem will come. Number one, either now here he is going to make a three propositions of alternation, that is Wells. You must be knowing about that: conjunction, Wells, conditional, biconditional. These are the logical connectives that you need to know, but specifically here we are talking about Wells, that is either or case. Now he is making either or three either or statement, that is involving number one, Jones owns a Ford car, or Brown lives in Boston. Number two, Jones owns a Ford car, Brown lives in Barcelona. Number three, either Jones owns a Ford car or Brown lives in Brest Litovsk. These are the three propositions about whom Smith is not certain as to where Brown is actually living. But since you know that if one is true, then the entire compound proposition comes out to be true. So uh, Smith basically is here making a true statement rather, that either Jones owns a Ford car or Brown lives in Boston. This proposition will come out to be true because he has seen Jones giving him lift daily for a long period of time. So he has inferred, and he has inferred basically uh, on the basis of this evidence. So his hunch basically that either Jones owns a Ford car or Brown lives in Barcelona, and third is Jones owns a Ford car or Brown lives in Brest Litos. All these three either are propositions. One of them could be true, but he's not certain as to which one is true. So what happens that by chance it happens that uh, in brief, by chance this happens that actually Brown is living in Barcelona, and he basically made a statement that all these three statements. So on this basis of these three statements, his hunch that is Smith's hunch that Brown is living in all these places basically comes out to be a kind of problem only according to Gettier, because in this case also, as in the case of one, uh, we cannot say that knowledge basically consists in truth certainty, right to certainty, because even though uh, even though mm, Smith is making true statement and certain statement, and he has evidence also, but his claim cannot be taken to be a claim of knowledge. This is basically his conclusion, and he makes this conclusion on the basis of this long technical kind of example. So case number 1 and case number 2, these both cases basically are told as Gettier cases. Now in brief, this is the one. So question, Manishiva, you can ask.
Sir, how is it concluded that these propositions do not conclude any knowledge or do not show any knowledge?
Because according to Gettier, all these case 1, are you talking about case 1 or case 2, or should we discuss case 1 first?
Case two, sir. Case two, sir.
Okay, so in case 2, this Smith has evidence for what? Number 1, that Jones owns a Ford car, because Jones has given lift to Smith a number of times. This is the inference that according to Gettier, this is the inference based on evidence. And what is the evidence? Evidence is that Jones has given so many times lift to Smith. So, so Smith has right to infer that Jones owns a Ford car. Number 1, this you have to keep in mind.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, what happens that he has a friend Brown. About a friend means like not very close friend, but the person like classmate, you can say. So Brown basically, about Brown, Smith has inferred three propositions. Number 1, Brown lives in Boston. Brown lives in uh, Brest-Litovsk. Brown lives in Barcelona. Now these propositions, according to Gettier, are inferences only, about whose truth Smith is not certain. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
what happens that uh, uh, according to Edmund Gettier, what Smith is doing, he is making alternation of the proposition about whose truth uh, Smith has evidence. And what is that? That is Jones owns a Ford car. Okay. Now, this proposition, that is Jones owns a Ford car, he basically connects with all these three propositions. That is Jones owns Ford car, or Brown lives in Boston. So this is the first one. Either either Jones owns a Ford car, or Brown lives in Boston. So what will be the truth value of this compound statement according to Edmund Gettier, or according to logic, Manishiva?
Yes, sir. So I
This,
didn't understand the question.
yeah, question is this, that either Jones owns a Ford car, or Brown
Yes, sir.
lives in Boston. This is the compound statement.
So
Now,
one of the statement is true, therefore the truth
yes,
value will be true.
great, great, great. So one proposition is true, that is Jones owns a Ford car. So the entire proposition will come out to be true. Now this is the number 1. Number 2 proposition is Jones owns a Ford car, or Brown lives in Barcelona. Will it be true or false?
True, sir.
Yes, it will be true. Why?
So both the statements are true.
No, not both. You cannot say both. Na, you can say about Jones only. You cannot say about Brown
Okay,
anything
sir.
because Brown is only hunch.
Okay, sir.
So true wells undecided.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
True wells undecided will be true.
True.
Now come to third.
That is also true, sir, because one of the statement is true.
True. So now these three conditions are there now. Now what happens? Basically, Jones actually doesn't own Ford car. Jones doesn't own Ford car, but only he was having a rented car.
Okay.
Now let us move further. And before moving further, according to AJR, not according to Gettier, all these three propositions will be knowledge propositions because their truth value is to certain and right to be certain because he has one proposition and through applying wells he is getting a compound proposition whose value is 2. Now let us move further. And
So, but the knowledge is based on inference, and inference cannot be always a true source of knowledge. It can
this
be false as well.
this is something which you can raise objection against Gettier. You're right. There is
Yes, sir.
space. There is space to criticize Gettier. But what Gettier is saying, you listen. Huh?
Yes.
What Gettier is pleading, you we have to listen that. No. What Gettier is saying is that these three propositions, that is compound propositions, they are having fulfilled the conditions of knowledge. Therefore, they could be regarded as knowledge claim. But what happens afterwards is this. What is that? That is, Jones doesn't own a Ford car. Now, if Jones doesn't own a Ford car, then what will be the truth value of these propositions? Then,
False.
then basically you can say that they are false. But Gettier moves further and he says that by chance the hunch, not even inference, the hunch of Smith that Brown lives in Barcelona, Brest-Litovsk, and Boston. These three hunches uh, Smith had made. Out of these three hunches, one hunch comes out to be true by chance, as it happens often in our life also. No, you make some inferences and that comes out to be true. And actually, Brown lives in Barcelona. So what will happen? Out of these three
So the
propositions,
second statement will be true.
oh great, yes, one statement which says that which says that either Jones owns a Ford car or Brown lives in Barcelona will come out to be
True.
true. Now after this the problem starts. What is the problem? Problem is that
Because Jones does not own a Ford car.
yes,
That's why it is.
yeah, that is why
Yes,
Gettier
sir.
is saying
Okay.
that as per the um, traditional persons in epistemology, traditional philosophers in epistemology who claimed that knowledge consists in three conditions or features of knowledge, that is truth, certainty, and right to certainty. They will claim that all these three propositions, compound propositions, they are knowledge claim, but that is not going to be the case because knowledge claim is going to be only in case of uh, knowledge claim is going to be in case of either Jones owns a Ford car or Brown lives in Barcelona. This proposition also from the traditional epistemologies will be knowledge claim, but according to Gettier, the problem is that this second compound proposition actually is fulfilling all the three conditions of knowledge, not from the perspective of traditional epistemologies, but from the point of view of a different perspective. And that is why the claim that is knowledge consists in three conditions, that is truth, certainty, and right to be certainty, cannot be regarded as a definition of knowledge. Did you get the point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is the little technical, little complex, but once you have got the point, then there will not be any problem, and you'll understand everything. Now this is the thing that Gettier has shown. Now we'll go to some responses, maybe.